Help support AMTV by becoming a patron, an AMTV staff member, and following us over on Twitter.
Hi there guys, it's Adam Martyn here, and welcome back to another video. Forgive me for the deeper voice, it's not doing too well at the moment, but I wanted to come and talk about another big piece of Eurovision news, particularly related to the Netherlands' participation in 2025. I'm sure we're all aware at this point the original situation that happened this year in 2024 in Malmö. The Dutch artist Joost Klein was disqualified right before the grand final. At the time I'm recording this, that investigation is sort of still ongoing. We haven't heard a final verdict, if you like, from the Swedish juries or whoever is taking on this case in Sweden. But it's created a lot of bad blood, I think, between the Dutch broadcaster Avrotros and the European Broadcasting Union. Ever since then, the question has been, well, are the Netherlands going to take part in 2025? Will they come back? Will Joost come back for them? Will they get someone else? Will it be a different Dutch broadcaster? Well, we have a bit of new information today that might shed a little bit of light on that situation. I saw this article from Blogs, who I'm sure many Eurofans know is one of the most prolific sources of fan media. I think they're a great resource. I like checking out their posts and their videos that they do each and every year, so definitely go and check them out if you haven't already. But the headline reads as follows: The Netherlands at Eurovision 2025. Broadcaster says chances of participation are small, as Anouk says she's ready to return. So immediately that's going to set alarm bells off in any Eurofan's head. You know, chances are slim of returning. That's not good at all. But let's have a read. Let's see what it actually has to say. Avrotros, the state broadcaster in the Netherlands, says its chances of participating in the Eurovision Song Contest 2025 are small. That's the bad news coming out of Hilversum, as Eurofans wait for the final confirmation that the Dutchies are in, or out, following the disqualification of Joost Klein in Malmö. The news emerged on Thursday after Anouk's management confirmed to RTL Boulevard that she's serious about submitting a song for Eurovision 2025. Now, if you're not familiar with Anouk, she did represent the Netherlands before, back in 2013, funnily enough when the contest was in Malmö the previous time. 2013 was a really great year. I think it's one of my favourite years in recent memory of the contest, and Anouk did pretty well. She qualified from the semi-finals, she made it to the final and ended up finishing 9th with the song Birds, which is a very respectable finish. Any sort of top 10 finish is always a great result, and it's a sweet little track. You can go and check it out on YouTube, or if you've got the DVD or anything like that, you can have a look. Continuing on with the article, it says the tea started to flow last weekend at the North Sea Jazz Festival in Rotterdam. During her set, Anouk said she had made the perfect record for Eurovision. RTL Boulevard approached Anouk's manager, Kees de Koning, to see if the Eurovision 2013 singer was joking, and it turns out that Anouk does in fact have a song to submit. However, as de Koning explained, there is one big problem. There is no Eurovision committee anymore, so I don't know who to send it to. If there's no Eurovision committee, that implies they aren't looking for songs to submit, and that they may not participate next year. Now, there could be some caveats around this. They could just be selecting internally. They could be making personal invites to different Dutch artists to represent them. That is a possibility, but the lack of any sort of committee, it's not a good opening sign. The broadcaster has subsequently contacted Anouk to say they're interested in hearing her submission. Okay, but only later. They're not in a position to consider it because of their ongoing issues with the European Broadcasting Union. Right, okay, so it seems Avrotros saw this, they reached out and said, all right, we want to hear it, but later on, it seems they still want to sort these things out. Keep in mind, when the European Broadcasting Union made their statement recently about, you know, the events in Malmö, about what they want to do going forward, Avrotros didn't really confirm nor deny their participation based on that. A lot of the broadcasters who originally complained sort of said this is a good step and this needs to be built upon going forward. I believe I've heard rumblings that broadcasters have seen a more like detailed report or something than we've been privy to, so that might indicate it as well. But to not have an out-and-out confirmation, both after the EBU gave an initial statement and since then, again, it sort of raises a few eyebrows, doesn't it? The Dutch broadcaster has been very clear that it expects certain cultural and structural changes within the EBU before it commits to returning to the contest that expelled its artist just a few months ago, and on the day of the grand final. As RTL News wrote, Avrotros first wants to gain confidence that matters have improved before selecting a new entry. The broadcaster, therefore, considers the chance that the Netherlands will participate next year to be small. Avatros will make a final decision about their participation in the Song Festival in September. If they decide to participate after all, they will know where to find Anouk. So that's all pretty big food for thought. So that implies that what the EBU said a couple of weeks ago wasn't enough for Avatros, that they're still expecting more changes, more things to be done, which I think, given the circumstances, is fair enough. We did cover the EBU statement when it dropped a couple of weeks ago, so you can go and check that out if you're out of the loop with that or you want to learn more. I believe the end of September as well is sort of the deadline when participating broadcasters have to register their interest. So that clock is ticking. We're only a couple of months away. And I think, as I've said from the beginning, if the Netherlands, for whatever reason, doesn't decide to take part in 2025, that would be a huge, huge shame. A bit more about Anouk then, who's the woman who is registering their interest to represent the Netherlands next year. They're widely considered the turning point for the Netherlands at Eurovision. Following 8 straight non-qualifications, good God, was it that many? Anouk took the Dutch back to the grand final and to 9th place in 2013 with her song Birds. She walked so that Delange and Whelan could run to 2nd place a year later. And I'd say since 2013, not all the time, but the Dutch have had some pretty good results in the last 10 years or so of Eurovision, particularly, of course, in 2019, when they won the whole thing with Duncan Lawrence. Even so, insiders have told Blogs that the chances of Anouk being selected are slim because she's become an increasingly controversial figure. In February, she uploaded a transphobic Instagram post and caption, oh no. Nikki Tutorials, trans icon and co-host of Eurovision 2021, who was a great host by the way, clapped back, writing, having one of the Netherlands' most down-to-earth, respected musicians be a shameless turf which stands for trans exclusionary, radical feminist and transphobe was not on my bingo card for 2024.
Who represented the Netherlands in the 2013 Eurovision Song Contest, posted an image of what looks like menstrual blood in a toilet, with the caption, "Chopping your pee-pee off doesn't make you a woman, but this will." She finished the since-deleted post by asking, "Am I cancelled now?" Nikki added her response to a screenshot of the 48-year-old's post, having one of the Netherlands' most down-to-earth, respected musicians be a shameless turf, and transphobe was not on my bingo card for 2024.
So, with sensitivities around the contest, and particularly after all the chaos and drama of the year just gone in Malmö in 2024, I think the last thing that both the broadcasters and indeed the EBU might want is to stir even more controversy if it can be avoided. Now, everyone's entitled to their opinion, fundamental human right and all that sort of stuff. I disagree with Anouk on this personally, but, that's just my opinion. But I think when it comes to the contest, particularly after last year, I think things like this are going to become more of a factor when deciding artists. Now, whether it should be, rightly or wrongly, that's a debate for another day. But it does throw into contention if Avatros do come back and say, all right, we're in. I doubt they're just going to look at Anouk's song. I'm sure they'll have a look at several different songs from artists who want to participate. But I think that will come into their focus for sure. As we know, Eurovision has a huge LGBTQ plus following, and to see an artist there who I guess has openly made a comment or a statement against one of those groups, that would cause immense uproar for sure. So, but back to the whole thing of the Netherlands coming back, this does paint a bit of a bleak picture. It's not, I wouldn't say the door's completely closed. As it says, we've got to wait till September so they make that final decision whether they are going to take part or not. But it doesn't necessarily bode well, does it? This isn't painting the best picture possible in terms of them coming back. And if they didn't participate in 2025, it would be the first time they haven't taken part since 2002. And I believe that was only because we had the relegation system in back then, where certain countries couldn't take part depending on your points average and all that sort of stuff. So for their first non-participation in more than 20 years, and of course they were one of the original 7 countries that took part in Eurovision, and from what I understand, they're one of the biggest financial contributors as well. So their loss, I think, would be keenly felt throughout the ESC family, for sure. Talking about nations who won't take part, we also had this, saying that Bosnia and Herzegovina will not take part in ESC 2025. Now, this is a shame. Bosnia and Herzegovina haven't taken part since 2016. We're coming up close to a decade now, and I'm always up for countries coming back, and there was hope that maybe they'd come back this year, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be the case. BHRT, the Bosnian national broadcaster, has confirmed to ESC today that they won't take part in ESC 2025 next year. Thus, they join a list of countries who have confirmed their absence as next year's edition. The reason for them not taking part is due to ongoing financial hurdles that the broadcast is facing. Unfortunately, the country's situation remains the same as in recent years. I believe that that's why they haven't taken part, is due to financial reasons, down to some sort of like debt or sanctions from the EBU, and it's a shame that they haven't been able to resolve that, essentially. Because Bosnia and Herzegovina, they've had some great songs over the years. One of my favourites, which in fact was their best result, was in 2006 when they submitted the artist Hari Matahari, and they came third that year. That's a beautiful song, go and check that out. But yeah, for countries that have sort of the pathway to come back and don't, it is a real shame. I mean, hopefully Bosnia and Herzegovina will return in the future. I mean, 2026 maybe, I don't know, and other countries might come back as well. You know, we still have yet to hear from nations, I believe, like Romania or Bulgaria. Will they come back? Montenegro, North Macedonia. They're just a few examples of nations who could possibly return. But yeah, whilst I am excited for ESC 2025, as I'm sure a lot of fans are, there's still these sort of clouds over there. There's still this sort of air of bleakness that has sadly persisted from this year's edition in Malmö. So hopefully those clouds will clear as we round off this year and head into 2025. We'll have to wait and see. But that is all for this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like. It really does help us out. And let me know down in the comments, do you think the Netherlands will eventually return, or do you think these slim chances really mean that they aren't going to come back? Also, subscribe to the channel if you're new. We'd love to have you aboard. In the meantime, I've been Adam Martyn from AMTV. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Thank you to our patrons for helping to support the show, and a special thank you to Macra, Ethan Carberry-Holt, Bruce Danton, Derek Chambers, Shaun Knock, Daud Khan, Liam De-Maine, Trev Hughes, Deck, Evan Hart 41, Jen, Tim Ripley, Mr. Eurovision 1986, Ted Elliott, John Wakefield, and Marnan L. Thurman, our AMTV staff members.